Unpopular opinion on why you don't look like a bodybuilder, but I'm just speaking the truth here, and I know that people hate that. What's the secret to looking like a bodybuilder? Do you train hard? Of course you train hard. Most people train hard. In fact, I find that a lot of people actually train too hard, oddly enough. Um, and the reality of the situation is that you really don't have to train that hard to be a bodybuilder. There are examples like Paul Dillard, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Lee Haney, people like that who didn't train very hard. And then you have the polar opposite of the spectrum where we have people like Dorian Yates. Whew, that's some hard training. Mike Menzer, Tom Platz. There are some people who train really fucking hard. Ronnie Coleman. And then you have people who, I don't want to say they didn't train like easy. They weren't like babies about it, but they did a bunch of volume stuff and they didn't lift heavy. And they're certainly not Ronnie Coleman, squatting 800 pounds, right? Okay. So what's the difference then? Like, why is there such a difference between the way that bodybuilders look and the way that you look? Now, I know the easy cop out is, oh, it's drugs. Because that's everyone's excuse. It's, oh, that guy must be on more drugs than me or whatever. I don't fucking care. There are natural bodybuilders who look very enhanced. They look suspicious, right? And yet, I would imagine that a lot of them aren't using anything at all. Now, maybe at the top level, okay, sure, people are passing the drug test, but there are plenty of natural bodybuilders who have a very impressive physique. And the reason for this, and it's not like I came to this conclusion on my own. This is from listening to people like Justin Harris and Chris Tuttle and, a lot of really brilliant minds. Milo Sarcev. It's the food. Drugs or not, I don't care. You want to take drugs, take drugs. Like, it doesn't, I don't care. I don't have a moral judgment if your goal is bodybuilding and you're not competing in a tested federation, right? I don't care if you do it or don't. The same thing for powerlifting. If you do or don't use drugs, if you want to use them, that's fine. Just don't compete in in a tested federation and pretend that you're drug free. That's all. Just don't cheat. Like, don't break the fucking rules of the sport. And maybe in your country the laws are different, and you're not breaking any laws either. Now, it's a stupid law anyways. But the point here, drugs or not, it's the food that makes the difference. Because there's plenty of guys on tons of drugs, and they don't look like a bodybuilder. That's interesting. And you know this full well. You know full well that there are guys out there who are taking grams of shit, and they don't look like a bodybuilder. So why do they look like a bodybuilder sometimes, though? I think Justin Harris hit the nail on the head. And I think that this is going to be unpopular because everyone likes their IIFFIM and their intermittent fasting and all this bullshit like that. The secret is meal timing and meal frequency. That's it. Are you pushing meat and rice every 3 hours for 5, 6, even 7 meals a day? Right? That's the difference. It really is. And I can tell you, even for myself, I have been I guess I'd call it like a 2.5 meal type of person for most of my life. I often eat a large breakfast, and then I usually have a small lunch because I'm at work or something, so it's something that I wouldn't even consider to be a full meal. It's like I'm going to get some protein in, and then I have a big dinner. So really I have 2 big meals, and then I have this one small meal in the middle, as most of my life has been. So I made this little experiment up, and I decided that I was going to really push things hard for a few months, because I was in a circumstance where I was able to do a whole bunch of what I call micro workouts. So I'd have like 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there, 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there. And I would just fit these fast, hard workouts in. And it worked really well, actually. I liked it. These short workouts, this is a different topic, but it's very effective because you can come in, work up to a heavy single, and then you're done. And you could do that 3 and 4 times a day. You'd be amazed how it's so much easier than trying to squat for an hour straight. Anyways, the point being here, though, one of the things that happened during this time is I changed my meal frequency. I just took my meals and split them up. And I started eating more frequently. Sometimes it didn't even matter if it was 3 hours, maybe 2 hours apart I would eat, just because I was like, I'm going to get 6 meals a day in, no matter what. So I realized due to time constraints, I can't perfectly space that, every 3 hours or something. But man, I will tell you what, my recovery was so much better having higher frequency of meals. Now, I know you're all worried about this. Oh, calories in and calories out, and IFYM, just hit your macros, blah, blah, blah. Sure, whatever. If you're only concerned about the weight on the scale, like you want to see it say 175 and go to 180, go ahead and do your IFYM intermittent fasting thing where you just hit numbers. But if you actually want to recover and get stronger and make progress and get bigger, meal frequency. And I thought about this the other day and I realized, gosh, I just did this for a handful of months here. What if I had been doing this year round for the last 10 years? Holy cow, what kind of progress would I have made? So when you see these guys that step on stage and they're fucking huge and they look like a bodybuilder, not my goal. As anyone will tell you, I do not care how I look. If being 236 pounds of fat made me run faster, I would be 236 pounds. Unfortunately, being 236 pounds of fat doesn't make me run faster. So, the thing is, though, and this is what's important here, when I changed my meal frequency, I started gaining muscle. I started gaining strength. And I recovered better. No, those 2 big meals and a half meal every day didn't have the same effect as taking that same volume of food and spreading it out across the whole day. So I know you're going to tell me it's bro science and blah, 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 because the weight on the scale. But show me a study where someone pushed meat and rice 6 times a day for 10 years straight. You're not going to find that study. This is the difference. You don't want to hear it because it's a pain in the ass. You got to meal prep and all this stuff like that. It is a pain in the ass. It's fucking inconvenient. But that doesn't mean it doesn't work. There are a lot of things that, this isn't very easy or this isn't very convenient, and yet it's still the best way for you to do it. So my point here, okay, is that if you want to make the best possible progress, and your goal is to get bigger, and I don't really care if your goal is to be a bodybuilder or not. Maybe you're just trying to get bigger to play football, and that's fine too. That's a good reason. If you play a sport like hockey or football, you should want to get bigger. You know what it's like whenever you weigh 160 pounds and you go into the corner against a guy who's 235 pounds? Yeah, I'm going to park my ass in the slot while this 300-pound, well, not really 300-pound, but enormous fucking defenseman slams into me and tries to push me out of the way. I'm not going to win that battle. He's bigger than me. I don't care if he's 250. If he's 250 and I'm 160, I'm not going to win that battle in front of the net. Not going to happen. So it behooves you to get bigger when you play those sports. This isn't a weight class sport now in my life. Obviously I've competed in practically every weight class you can think of whenever it comes to things like boxing and judo, MMA, etc. But that's not what we're getting at here. We're talking about people who need to get bigger for their sport. So you need hypertrophy. And for that reason, you should eat like a bodybuilder. Yeah, you should be doing the thing of just pushing meat and rice. Do that 6 times a day. Meal frequency makes a difference. Spread them out as much as you can, okay? But meal frequency makes a difference. Anyone who tells you different, either A, has never done it, or B, they're selling you some bullshit diet app. Use my special diet app, IFYM. Fuck those people, okay? I'm telling you what works. You don't take my word for it? That's fine. Go listen to Justin Harris, okay? Go listen to Paul Barnett. Go listen to Chris Tuttle. Go listen to Milo Sarcev. Go listen to Chris Aceto or Chad Nichols. Meal frequency matters. It's that simple. Like, I don't know a different way of explaining it other than just to tell you, you have to go do this and find out how it works. Now, I'm not telling you that you even need to eat more food total to get this benefit. You can eat the same quantity of food that you're already eating, spread it out into 6 meals or something like that. You'll find that your recovery is better. Why? You're probably digesting it better. I mean, that's my best guess here. But yeah, if you just take whatever you're currently eating and you spread it out into 6 meals, break it up, you will notice that you have better recovery. Now, when you push your calories up, now you get even better recovery. Yeah, it makes a difference. Um, and, I know, like I said, there's no study on this because no one's ever going to do a study where they track someone for 10 fucking years of pushing meat and rice around the clock. But that's the difference. That's why Dorian Yates was fucking huge, and that's why Jay Cutler was fucking huge, and that's why Ronnie Coleman was huge. It doesn't matter. The training didn't matter as much. Paul Dillard, the training does not matter as much as the fact that they just kept feeding the muscle around the clock. And that's why they stayed in a constant state of anabolism. Yes, you still need to train, and don't train like a bitch, but you don't have to do high intensity, you set the failure kind of shit, or squat 800 pounds. You need to stimulate the muscle and then feed it. And I really think that's the biggest difference. Like I said, steroids or not, doesn't matter, because even these natural bodybuilders who are strict with their diet, it's inconvenient to eat 6 meals a day. That's where the difference is. It's that simple.